Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 209, Queen of Hearts. This episode aired on December 2nd, 2012. It was written by the showrunners Eddie Kitsis and Adam Horowitz, and was directed by Ralph Hemmicker. Now, before we get into our recapping and chatting and crazy, and this episode had commentary, so buckle up. Let's get into a synopsis for the episode. In the past, Hook has broken into the Queen's Tower in search of a prisoner who could help him defeat the Dark One. But when he discovers that Belle is of no use to him, he's about to kill her when Regina stops him. She has a task for the captain, and will allow him to come to the Land Without Magic when she casts her curse, if he kills Cora for her beforehand. When he attempts his assassination, Cora evades him and convinces him to side with her, as she believes she's his best chance to get back to the Dark One, if he'll bring her back alive, so that she can kill her daughter. But when Cora sees how Regina reacts to her, and learns her reasons for wanting her dead, she hatches a new plan, one that involves keeping them in the Enchanted Forest for the duration of the curse, hidden in a safe haven on the edge of the kingdom, where they'll wait until the time is right. Today, the race to the portal begins. In the Enchanted Forest, Snow and Emma search Rumple's cell for the squid ink, only to be trapped when Cora uses Aurora's heart to manipulate her. After they discover the squid ink was written on a piece of cloth with Emma's name on it, they escape and battle Cora and Hook for control of the compass and the portal. All seems lost when Cora almost rips out Emma's heart, but a pulse of her magic pushes her back, and mother and daughter can finally return home. Meanwhile in Storybrooke, believing Cora will be the one to come through the portal, Gold and Regina steal the magic from the mines so that they can conjure a barrier that will stop anyone from coming through the portal into their land. Gold convinces her that if it's Cora, their problem is solved, and if it's Snow and Emma, then Regina will be the only mother in her son's life. Once Henry sees what they have planned, he begs Regina to stop this, and in showing the faith she has in her son, how she's trying to be better, she absorbs the magical barrier, letting Snow and Emma pass through safely, and now Snow can wake up David. In the end, things seem to be going well, until a pirate ship can be seen on the horizon. The petrified bean Killian took from the giant had been revived, and they used it to follow our heroes. Now their plans can continue. So that was the synopsis, and again, one of the few times that I get through it in one go.
That was amazing.
But I cannot tell you how excited I am to stop having 3-part synopses.
Oh, I'm ready for it.
I'm so happy. I'm so excited for them to not be like basically the entire intro of an essay.
It really is. I think it takes a good solid couple of minutes for you to get through those.
Yeah.
But now we're all in one place again, which I'm very excited for.
Yes, everyone's back in Storybrooke now.
It was a good run. I mean,
yeah,
good run. It was nice.
Yeah.
I still kind of I guess I kind of liked the back and forth a little bit, but it was still very much that whole moment of finally, okay, now what do we do? Where are we going now? I was very confused at the beginning of this.
Okay.
I was like, Belle and Hook, what the fuck? What is happening? Where am I?
It's, what's the name of that ship? I think it's just Captain Book, which is, not the most creative at the end of the day.
No, not a fan of that.
No, there's better ones. Maybe it's Captain Beauty.
I like Captain Beauty. That sounds better.
Captain Beauty makes a little more sense. Because Beauty is usually the epitaph that's put on her, so.
Okay, but that'd be a really fun story.
You'll see more of the two of them interact. That's all I'm going to say.
But so that was very interesting. And I did, I have my moments where I have very chaotic notes that now people can see. And
yes. Join our Patreon.
Join our Patreon. I just sit there and, write what I say, think, see, write what I see. See, it's like and so then I'm like, okay, valuable chess piece. I thought that was very interesting. I liked that. I wrote it down. I'm like, okay, then. I see where we're going with this. I usually love Regina's costumes. I usually do. I was not a fan of the costumes and hair for her in this one.
Interesting. I love this one.
The dress felt out of place, but then it looked like did it change colors?
No, I think it's just the lighting.
Just the lighting. It looked like it changed colors. I don't know. I don't know what it was about this dress and the hair, but it felt out of place. I don't know why.
If I'm not mistaken, so the set, because I think if there's a change in color in her dress, I don't know exactly whether her chamber is a green stage or a blue stage. I'm not sure which one, but the tower cell was a practical set, and her chamber where her and Hook have the second conversation is predominantly a virtual set. So likely whatever color correction they needed to do to make sure she's not emanating green may alter the color of the costume.
Gotcha, because it was very blue at first, but then it looked very different as we moved along. I did also write, gold is the worst. Let Henry have his 2 mummies.
Gold is just the worst, period. End of sentence.
And then, we went into like, oh, that's creepy with like the name written on it. And I just go, wait, what fairy did he kill? I was like, wait a minute, what fairy died? I know he doesn't like fairies. I don't remember what fairy
in not 204, in 104.
Thank you.
The beginning of the Cinderella episode.
Yes, that's what it was. Okay. See, I have the memory of a squirrel. I would have never remembered that. And then just in all caps, oh, that's how he ripped out the heart. I was like, it makes sense now.
Remember? I told you. We'll see how he gets that ability eventually.
Okay, well, this was funny to me. I don't know why. I hope it's funny to you too, but I just wrote down, you remember Claude? Like, why was that so funny?
The fact of, and this gets commented on multiple times in the commentary and just in the fandom in general, Regina, she's got her priorities on straight. She pays attention. She may be out for evil and out for, vengeance and everything else, but she takes the time to learn the names of her henchmen. And this was from the commentary, and it's the way that this man phrased this will forever just be hilarious, because I said out loud after I typed it out, "Sir, you wrote this. Why are you saying it like this?" Adam said about Claude, he went, "For those of you who care, Claude's origin story is in episode 11 of this season." But it's that, for those of you who care, you wrote this show. Shouldn't you also care?
Just a little bit.
But it's hilarious. But that's true. We do see Claude's origin story in episode 11, so in 2 episodes. We'll see how he. Well, we won't necessarily see how he and Regina sync up, but we'll see why he's there, basically.
Okay, because like that whole thing with I mean, Queen of Hearts was very obvious. That was a dead giveaway. That's who she is. Already saw that coming, but then like Cora and Hook interacting for the first time was very, very enjoyable. But I love that he just yeets the necklace.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, fuck this. Let's just keep going. It just, so much of that scene was so very enjoyable. I love when the two of them are together. It's just, I love it. I love it so much. I don't know the words for it.
It's a good ship. And so I don't know if you remember, when we were recording it's in the podcast episode for 117. I mentioned that the person sitting in the chair of the Queen of Hearts costume was not the same as the voice.
Yes.
Barbara Hershey is the whispered voice.
Oh, that is the whispered voice.
This is a fun fact I've been sitting on the entire time. That's Barbara Hershey's voice. So not only did they, and in the commentary, Eddie was like, for those of you who ask if we just do this as we go along or if we have these things planned out, that was planned. We're like, great. So the writers knew, Barbara knew, and Lana knew, because knowing that her mother was the Queen of Hearts was pertinent to how she was playing the entire episode.
Oh, man. Okay, but I like it. I like that.
But now I almost want to, if you watch that scene again, I want to know if you can tell that it's Barbara Hershey now.
Maybe? I might try.
Possibly.
I might try and see.
Possibly.
I picked up on the ink faster than the people who were supposed to pick up on it. I literally, at one point, the ink is on the paper, y'all. Magic exists.
Obviously.
I was so angry that they're like, oh, it's just her name written over and over. And I'm like, the ink is right there.
I mean, there's a reason why her name is written over and over again. But yeah, it's Snow's line of, she had a spell book, and Emma, the spells were in the book. Yeah, isn't that what a spell book is? A book that has spells in it?
Exactly. So I was just so annoyed the whole time. They're all like, what are we going to do? Oh, this prison held Rumple. And I'm like, the ink is on the paper. The ink is on the paper.
Exactly. But the question of how you get the ink off the paper would be a thing. If we hadn't had that initial scene, if we hadn't had that scene from episode 2 of Cora blowing the ink off the page to do the barrier spell, we wouldn't know that's something that people could do.
I like that magic system though. Now it's not when you go to specific stories, when it actually has to be written down, is kind of cool. I know that
the spells are in the book.
Yeah, when the spells are in the book. Not that it's pertinent to the magic system entirely of this show, but within other things, when the magic system is written magic, I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And then I also wrote, this is the definition of a narcissistic mother.
I wrote that down. So much of Cora is, I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again. This is narcissistic personality disorder to a T.
And then I wrote, see, I was right. They should be smarter than this. I was like getting so mad at everybody. I wrote down multiple times how much I don't like Gold Rumpelstiltskin. I was like, I really don't like him.
Yeah.
Makes me
You can
angry.
do without him. He's not wrong, though, in that, like, if Cora comes through, that's a significant threat, especially to Regina, but he thinks to him, and honestly, that's more just him kind of seeing himself as the center of things. Cora kind of has not, she'll find him useful, like when we get to see her in Storybrooke, like the two of them interact and their stories do intertwine because they have to, but like her plans really don't involve him at all. Him thinking he's gonna like be like this kind of like bit of revenge for her, like she kind of doesn't care.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably going to end up relating with Regina on mommy issues, which will be fun.
So much mommy issues.
So much mommy issues. So the whole fight flirting was like
until that one line.
But I really did enjoy all that, and like,
yeah,
it's fun seeing Emma still spite with a sword, and he says the dumbest shit, but he's some of the other stuff he says, I'm just like, yeah, that checks out. Yeah. And then just a nice big oh shit when she jumps in front of Snow. And that all worked the way, all that whole scene, and I'm just kind of sitting here like, what is happening?
Yeah, Cora should learn by now. She has a hard time getting a hold of Snow's heart. This is I mean, obviously the first time we're seeing this. There will at least be one other instance earlier in the timeline, later in the show, where she tries and her plans are foiled because of somebody else. Like, she should just learn from her mistakes at this point and try a different tactic.
But like seeing how the whole thing with Emma, and then Gold, of course, saying like, oh, you're the product of true love. And I did have that moment, though. I was like, don't tell Gold. Don't talk to him about this. Shut up. Stop telling him things. Like, can you tell how much I'm really not liking him more and more? Ever since he was our beast.
Truthfully, the fact that you don't like him and that you don't like Rumbell as a ship makes this podcast so much easier.
What would you do if I actually liked Rumpelstiltskin?
I don't know. Truthfully, if you liked him, I don't because I would then feel bad about bashing on him half the time, honestly.
No.
So I don't really know what I'd be doing with myself if you liked him at all. Like, again, this is something that I say a lot about his character. The portrayal is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Robert Carlyle does a great job with this character. He's the kind of villain that I don't like, because the villains as we go on that we'll see that I really latch on to, the ones that I like, are the ones that are very straightforward about their intentions. Like Cora being one of them, we'll see when we see Cruella eventually, we're going to see Hades at some point. They're not trying to be any better because they know that they can't and just don't want to. He's the villain that I hate, where it's like he's acting as if he wants to be better just to get in the good graces of the people he wants in his life. But then the second that doesn't work, or the second that he thinks that he's got them fooled, he just does whatever he wants and finds a way to justify it. And like, this is what I say. Again, like, if Rumple is your favorite character, this podcast might be hard for you to keep listening to, but
he gaslights a lot.
But he gaslights, he manipulates, he toys with people the way that he toys with words. This is exactly what Bella said about him.
Great villain.
He makes a phenomenal villain, but for me, there's not a lot to latch onto in case of liking his character. Like Regina, again, was a great villain. Will continue to be a great villain. She's now kind of on her redemption path. Kind of. I have a thing about that later. But she's at least honest, and when she messes up, she does so intentionally. She's not messing up and saying, "Oh, but this is what's best for us." She's just messing up because she makes the wrong choice because she's human.
I don't think I'll ever be able to get over what we could have had in a Beauty and the Beast retelling.
Yeah.
That's where it starts for me. But then he keeps doing this shit that I'm just like, and of course then Belle keeps running back to him, and it makes me more and more angry from the from the beginning of, we could have had a actual good Beauty and the Beast retelling. We could have had Red.
We could have had Red.
And this is what I'm given?
Yeah,
it's disappointing.
I regret to inform you that the show makes it seem as if Rumbell is a ship that we're supposed to root for. You're gonna have a moment of like fuck yes, Belle. Like, or give him what he deserves. And she sticks with it for a while, and then doesn't. Like, she does fight back on. She does fight him. Like, eventually she does see through it to an extent, but it's the fact of she keeps going back.
Ugh. Okay.
Yeah.
I did have that moment of Pinky in the brain because the constant of
the barrier.
The barrier, yeah. And then I just got really excited. I'm like, the whole ship. They brought the whole ship.
The whole ass pirate ship.
The whole ass pirate ship. Okay.
Yep.
Where did they get the ship? They were at the lake.
Well, I think the assumption is, because what he says is it's time to do some farming. So the assumption is that just throwing the bean into the water didn't fix it. It didn't create a new portal. But yeah, I think the assumption is that that once the bean was revived using the water, then they went back to the ship and did
Gotcha. Okay.
the portal things that way.
I mean, he's a captain of his ship. He's got to bring it with him, I guess.
He does. What's a captain without his ship, quite frankly?
So, yeah, that's how I felt about that episode.
That's how you felt?
That's how I felt.
So, you've asked me before if there are times when you and I have differing opinions.
Oh, no.
I love this Evil Queen outfit.
Oh, that's the only... But it's an outfit. At least it's something that's like...
It's the outfit. It's the outfit. It's the hair.
At least it's an outfit and not a plot point.
Yeah. It's just the outfit. I love that Evil Queen outfit. And also the fact of this is the first time we're seeing the Evil Queen really all season.
Yeah, true.
Like we saw her like come out a little bit in episode 2 when she, storms the town hall meeting with the fire and the arrows and stuff. But like it's interesting that like for the Evil Queen being such a pertinent character to the first season, that in the flashbacks we're seeing of Regina in this first part of the season, because this is the end of what's effectively this first part of season 2, because this was their mid-season finale. Mm-hmm. We're not seeing her until the very end, and then we'll see her much more as the season goes on. I believe the next episode flashback is Evil Queen. So it's like interesting to like have her be such an important part of the first season. For now, like we're only seeing her backstory right now and kind of seeing the build up to it, which is like it's just interesting to use that as a concept of not seeing the Evil Queen yet. So I'm just excited to see her. That's my thing.
You're just happy.
I'm just happy Lana's on my screen, quite frankly, at the end of the day. I did like the design on the cell floor. The Evil Queen's got some good taste.
Mm-hmm. With
like the decor of that cell. It may be a tower, but it's a very pretty tower.
Very.
Something that I wrote down with it was like I seriously miss the Evil Queen. Because even though like we're seeing more of young Regina, it's almost like you can tell Lana missed playing like the over the top supervillainy in the scene. She's just really kind of like really digging into it, like pulling him in close with the hook and all that, and like the overemphasis of the way she's speaking. And I think it was something Adam said in the commentary. I'll try and interweave the commentary as best I can. We'll have some left for the end, but if I don't, this episode will be 3 hours long. About how you can almost kind of track where we are in the timeline with how the Evil Queen is acting, because she tends to get a little crazier the closer we get to the casting of the curse. She's kind of more delved into the evil, and she's kind of just more crazy, more supervillainy, less grounded, I guess would really be the phrasing to use on that. But I also did just write down Hooked Queen works. I'm just saying. That's the name of their ship.
It does work.
It works on so many levels. And like I know that like I'm fairly certain my thought process, or I guess my theory that that was meant to be the original ship from the beginning, but they changed their minds. I'm sure I'm wrong, but I like to think about that because the two of them just they had good chemistry to start out with, and apparently this was the first time that the two of them working together was that scene in the cell. That was their first.
Oh wow, that's a good.
That was their first scene. It's a good start because it gives you a lot to work with. Like they didn't really have history more or less, like because the characters don't. This is the first time the characters are meeting, but Regina clearly knows of him, so she's keeping tabs on what's going on in the greater Enchanted Forest area. This is a thing. So I'm letting this go now because, quite frankly, at this point, it hadn't been a thought process. They're going to throw flashbacks in season 5. That basically the way that they're designed are between the scene in the tower and the scene in her chamber when she sends him off on the quest. Mm-hmm. There shouldn't be time in between theirs. Everyone's wearing the same outfits.
Okay.
basically. But the flashback it's basically the entire flashbacks of an episode in season 5 are meant to slot in between those two scenes, and I don't like it. But I like this episode too much to remove any points yet.
That's fair.
I'll take points off in season 5, but for now I'm just gonna kind of let that go. So the scroll with the names and all of that. So obviously the name Emma is Rumpel's trigger. The thing when she tells him about the cloth and he says, "I want to make sure it would stick." That was basically his way of building in his own trigger to wake up.
Oh, wow.
So this is the thing that people like to fight me on, and people are wrong, and I don't really care. He is asleep he is under the curse the entire time. The curse is active until Emma shows up in Storybrooke and she says her name to Granny at the B&B. And the first thing he says awake is, "Emma." What a lovely name. He is awake the entirety of season 1, not the entirety of the curse.
That would make sense, though, because, like, the curse affected everybody except for, of course, Cora and where she did her thing. But, like, that makes a lot of sense. Why do people fight on that?
People don't like to think that he's so susceptible to these kinds of things. They like to think that he's so all-powerful that he could surpass all of this.
But he made the curse.
Okay.
You know what up until this point, what I know.
At this point, that's the assumption. Yes, now I know. But this is the thing, because, like, the thing is, like, well, we see him use please all the time. And I'm like, again, he's awake the entirety of season 1. He would know the effect of those. But
Emma's there at the beginning of season 1 too.
Like, exactly. Like, for all that we see him in Storybrooke in season 1, he is awake. Whether we know he's awake or not, he is. That's how that works. There is an episode in season 6 that will show us a few days of the curse about 10 years in. Where, I don't want to spoil too much of the episode, but basically something happens. People get woken up very briefly. And he is one of them. But people are like, he was clearly awake at that point. Like, no. Someone says the name Emma and we hear a whoosh. That's him remembering in that moment.
Oh, wow.
By the end of the episode, when he realizes that it's only 10 years in and not enough time, he makes a potion to put everyone back under. And while we don't see him physically drink the potion, it's assumed that he did. Because we'll see other points in the timeline between that and the curse being broken and Emma showing up. So, because also think about this. If you're going to be in a place stuck frozen in time for 28 years and you have the option to not really be awake for it, why would you?
No, I wouldn't. I would be too bored.
Exactly.
Knowing that you could have magic and you have all this power and you can't use it and you're just living a mundane life. No.
Which is I love that you said that, because we are going to see what happens to someone who is awake during that, because we are going to be seeing Regina during the first few days of the curse in this season.
She's going to be bored.
She's going to find out real quick that she needs some kind of stimulation.
Oh, you don't say. Like the stimulation she got at Granny's?
Different stimulation. Even that isn't
enough. My God. That's not even enough.
Stimulation might not be the right word. She needs something that changes. She needs something that's going to fill the void in her life.
Okay.
I'm aware of what I just said.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
But we're going to find out real fast why. So we're going to see the first few days of the curse, and then we'll see. I've already told you that we're going to see the flashbacks where Regina adopts Henry anyway, so we're going to see that.
I mean, I can assume that's like, would have been more so like the reason to end up doing something like that too. I don't think it would have been of like, I know who, like maybe she knows who Henrietta is, maybe she doesn't. I'm not going to like try and dig into that yet. I'm going to wait for that moment.
That is something that I absolutely will not say anything about until we get to 309.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. I don't want to know. Like, I know there's been moments of this podcast where like, okay, this isn't really spoilery, but it is, but who cares? Like, you're going to figure it out.
Whether the knowledge of who Henry is a thing or not, that needs to be saved until we get to 309. Save Henry.
Exactly.
Needs to be saved.
Not like who Henry's father is, who I think we figured out.
No, not like who Henry's father is. Well, because you figured it out. Yeah. Like, that was the kind of thing of like, and that's the thing of the reveal is still cool. Like, the reveal of that moment is still cool. Whether you'll just be anticipating it at this point. But that one was more of, I told you, if you figured it out by a certain point, because by then I thought all the pieces were there. And by the time you figured it out, all the pieces were there.
It was like more subconsciously than anything, because I was just pretty much, it'd be funny if it were this person. Oh shit, it is!
Kind of like with your Pinocchio thing. I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if August is Pinocchio? And then I said, if you can guess it, you're like, oh, it's Pinocchio. Yes, it is Pinocchio. truthfully, one of my favorite lines of this episode, I mean, other than "Isn't that what a spellbook is?" Was, "I'm the Queen of Hearts." Do you really think I'd be so careless as to keep my heart where everyone else does?
Where is her heart then?
Interesting question.
Where is it?
That's a phenomenal question.
I hate when you do this. I love it, but I hate it. This is why we're friends.
Like, that is an excellent question, one that I cannot answer, because I choose not to. But this also plays into the thing of, does Cora love her daughter? Does she? I mean, she does. I think the ultimate consensus is that she does, but also it's more, I think, a character choice or an individual choice of how much you can or want to feel with your heart in. Because when you can take that part out of your body just so that you can kind of numb the feeling of things, it's you feel to the extent that you allow yourself to. And I think Cora does love Regina to an extent in her own way. It's just, she really does believe that she misses that. I think this is something that's in the commentary and something I wrote down also, was that she misses that unconditional love that Regina had for her when she relied on her. Mm-hmm. And I think a part of her is hurt that she would banish her first, but then, like, even the hurt on her face when she finds out that Hook is there to kill her, based on at Regina's behest, there's a hurt there of like, okay, I know I did all these terrible things and you banished me, but you'd try to kill me? I don't like that. Like, she's a little like hurt that Regina would go to those lengths. And it's just, it's a twisted kind of relationship, both from Cora's end and from Regina's end, and like they go into a lot of that in the commentary. Mm-hmm. But it's so compelling just to watch that play out on screen. It's what I love about Cora's character is like, and this is what I say about her not having like any kind of humanity, not trying to be any better. She can't. She doesn't have her heart in her body. She quite literally cannot do any better.
I cannot wait to see more of this. I'm actually really excited. This is gonna be good.
She's so compelling to watch as a character. And it's so much of, I just enjoy so much of watching her on screen. Right down to right after that was when after Aurora threw the rock to trap them in the cell, and Cora says, "Don't blame her. She was only doing as she was told." And then I wrote in all caps, "I'm too gay for this."
I'm not surprised.
It's that meme. It's like, people are like, I have a boyfriend, I have a girlfriend, I have a problem.
Look, we started off with Belle and Hook in the same room. I mean, I understand.
Yeah. I know. And like I wrote down again with like the kind of the push and pull of like Regina and Cora's relationship, but like it's so much of Cora's motives I think are murky, and they're even murky now still, because like she says she wants her daughter's love. Like she says what she wants, but is that actually what she wants? Mm-hmm. And obviously, the whole beginning is like, the viewers are set up to think that Cora's out to kill Regina when she gets to Storybrooke, which is a very fair assessment. And then everything in her actions means that she's after something else. But then to see that her plan when the Enchanted Forest was to kill her, but then she changed her mind when she saw that how Regina really felt about her. Like the scene in the crypt really alters everything, and it changes the whole perspective of the episode, and it's just fascinating to watch, and just watch like Barbara's kind of like almost like flip switches so quickly in these ideas is just, it's just, I can't say it other way than it's just fascinating to watch.
So it's that might be like the narcissistic personality going on there, how things switch so quickly. But that's what makes it so much fun.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is a narcissistic personality thing. That's absolutely what it is. Regina doing what she did with Cora makes a lot of sense in this case, because she knows that the pull that Cora has on her, figured this is when she I put this before the Thing You Love Most scenes. This is before she knows that she needs a human heart to enact the curse. Because Cora would fit the bill. Obviously, she would just have her heart and crush it and use it for the curse and be done. But at that point, she thinks that she's already dead, which leaves Henry Sr.
That makes sense.
So, like, and at this point, she probably knew she wanted to take Jefferson more so to torment him, and taking him would mean taking Cora. And she couldn't have her come over. So that's why she has her killed beforehand. But despite all that they've been through, she cares what her mother thinks about her too much. Her mother, like she says that, you're my weakness because I love you. It's because she needs her. I really do think it's because she needs her approval too much to do anything the way that she wants to get things done. She's too enthralled in that. She's desperately seeking this woman's approval her entire life, whether she's in her vicinity or not. and it's just such a twisted relationship, and I love watching the two of them work together, like the two actors. They just do it all so well.
They definitely did great with casting on that one.
Oh, absolutely, they did. The fight scene around the portal, though. I want to go back to that. So, first of all, I did look this up out of idle curiosity. The fact that Cora just, like, very casually digs a giant hole with her magic. Again, with the very subtle movements of just one finger, and she finds the water under the dried up lake. And based off of a few articles I found, just to look up how, like, looking for groundwater works, basically, if you dig far enough under a dried up lake, you're most likely going to find more groundwater.
Yes.
So, like, that's fair. That's fine. But I could, if I haven't seen it somewhere, we'll make it. I'm sure we can. Is the gif of them running around the portal with the bow and arrow and the swords and the fireball? Absolutely, I can see that gif with like the Annie Hall music playing behind it.
Yes,
like it's the most Once Upon a Time thing ever. It's just
Well, and then there's that moment where she like pushes them back and all their weapons are suddenly gone.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Where'd the weapons go?"
Magic. Just magic. But then you have Cora whistling to get Snow's like attention when her back is turned, which is just like, it's like so subtle, but it's just and then she taunts her like she doesn't actually throw a fireball and just gets her to flinch. It's just so much of that scene is just so much fun to watch.
See, I'm over here just very much focused on Emma and Hook, and I'm just like, yeah, this is fun. I like this.
Yeah, it's except for the one line.
Except for the one line.
The one line. Like, honestly, I would agree that the whole interaction was sexy if it wasn't for that one line of when I jab you with my sword, you'll feel it. Like, I just don't. I
didn't like that one.
I don't like it. Everything else is fine. Like, honestly, even though I prefer to do more enjoyable things with one on her back. That alone, I would be fine with that.
Yeah, that one was fine. It was the jabbing.
Yeah. Like, no. Not that. Preferably. I looked up the fun facts in the wiki, and there isn't a whole lot in there that isn't already in the commentary. The only one being, and this is actually interesting. I don't check the international titles every time, but for the times that I do, this is the first time that when I looked, every single translation was exactly the same as the English title.
Oh,
all of them equated Queen of Hearts.
Okay, but that's really cool.
Which, I mean, makes sense. There's no other there's really no other title for this episode at the end of the day, like with the way that they do things. There's no other major theme that you can really pull out of this. So with the commentary, this one was, I would say equating it to other ones that I've listened to so far, is a lot more like the commentary with that Eddie and Adam did with Jen in the finale, where a lot of it is kind of talking about like Lana's acting choices and kind of like how it was like filming on the day and things, and less of like the fun facts, here's kind of stuff that we added or things that we didn't do or things like that. Because unlike with the Stable Boy, the last time she did commentary, where she was kind of on screen the entire time, she had a lot to talk about. She's in a lot of this episode, but there are times where like they'll kind of just ask her like, oh, what was your thinking there? And then she'll just kind of talk and they'll kind of chat basically until the next time she's on screen, they can ask her that question again. So I have a lot of her acting process things, which is still fascinating to talk about. But at the end of the day, not like my favorite fun facty kind of things, just more of me writing down them all joking about Ginny being stuck in her cardigan, because that is what happened for much of the episode. But so Lana has said this, and I'm sure hers is more accurate than mine. They asked her how she feels about jumping around in the timeline, and she said at that point she was keeping her own little Once Upon a Time manual and family tree to keep track of things.
I don't blame her at all.
Like, you absolutely need that, and I'm sure hers is far more accurate than anything that I've ever come up with. But also, she only really has to track her scenes, at least, or her episodes. Not so much I'm trying to track all of them, which is a Herculean feat.
And yet, here, look at what we do.
Look at what's going on now.
It's worth it.
I think it's good that I did the work 2-3 years ago. That way now I can just copy what I did and put it into our new timeline.
See, I'm starting fresh, but mine's not as involved. No,
well, the one that I don't have as much. Well, to be fair, yours is getting built as we go. So, like, if I feel like if I need to move something from my original timeline, I will if I think it makes more sense. I'm not going to do a little it moves as the timeline goes thing. Like, some episodes kind of flip orders as the show goes on, but I'm not doing that. They're staying where they're staying. It is what it is.
That's their continuity issues.
Not mine. So something we didn't talk about, what they talked a lot about in the commentary, but that we didn't, was about in the Storybrooke section about how Regina really lies to Henry when it comes to how she's when she is doing this stuff with Mr. Gold. Something they asked her was like, what was it like for her to lie to Henry about, what they're going to be doing? And she said that she kind of made the choice that she wasn't completely lying. She played it like she wasn't completely sure that she was going to go through with it. And that's how she kind of played the scene. So like, in a way, she doesn't feel like she's lying. This is what's going to happen. But she played it like some things are just a little too complicated for him to understand right now. And the decision will get made. And I'm sure whenever I'm done, I'll get to explain everything and he'll understand. But like, some things just too much for a 10-year-old to understand, which is
understandable.
Like the line to Henry,
who's about to have a 10-year-old.
Exactly. Like, that very well. There are some things that they're just not going to understand. And this was actually something I put in my commentary. This is in my notes from the additional view. This is an episode where like people comment on Jared's acting skills a lot.
He's 10.
He's 11 years old
11,
at this
my
point.
bad.
He's like 11, 12 years old at this point. And like, my thing with his acting thing is, A, he's a child. Child actors who are like phenomenal at what they do and like very like well like steeped in like the craft and everything are fewer and further between than your average child actors. Yeah. I'll add that. I think for your average 12-year-old child actor, Jared does a great job with this. And also as the show goes on, as I've said, Jared ages a lot faster than his character. He's always acting at the right age for his character. Just because he looks 16 does not mean the character is 16. Always throwing that out there. This is one episode that I will say, I think what sells the relationship is his chemistry with the actors, not so much his acting skills. Yeah. But again, he's a 12-year-old.
I never really questioned his acting because watching it, I'm just like, okay, he's a kid.
Yeah, like exactly. Like people get mad when the kid actor isn't giving an Oscar-worthy performance. Like he's acting the way that a kid would act.
Not everybody can be, like. I wanted an actor to come to mind, but of course Josh Hutcherson's the one that came to my mind. I don't know why I have Bridge to Terabithia in my mind.
Well, no, not everyone can be Bailey Madison.
Thank you, son of a bitch.
There we go. Not everyone can be Bailey Madison. But this is what I say is sometimes people just like to answer questions that nobody asked.
Yeah. It's the internet.
It's the internet. But to be fair, on our podcast, we get to answer the questions no one asked because we're the one asking the questions.
So
this is the thing that I've decided.
They could ask us questions here.
People, if you've got questions you want us to talk about on the podcast.
There's a Q&A.
There's a Q&A. Please feel free to just drop something in there. DM us on Instagram. We're happy to talk about it when we can. You might not hear it for 4 months, but our buffer is a little on the big side. You might not hear your answer for a little while, or we'll make like a story or something. It's fine.
Our buffer must stay large because we are chronically ill.
We need it. But this is something I've discovered about the podcast is like I've realized that, I don't know if you do this too, like when you watch like interviews or panels of questions, like you imagine yourself answering them also. I don't know if you do that. I do that. But that's the thing about the podcast is we can do that. We can answer the questions that we've imagined ourselves answering. Because it's our platform. We do what we want.
Yes.
But it was funny, though, that you said about how like when the two of them playing off each other, like they do seem like mother and daughter with Regina and Cora. Something Lana said. And again, like as soon as Cora came on screen the first time, she just went, she's fantastic. It was like it's the fangirling of the other actors and scenes that you're not in, which is just precious to watch. Lana said that, it's before Cora came on, she had this idea of how the queen would move and how the evil queen would act and how she would do things. And now that she's had more of Cora to watch, she's been stealing things from her to have Regina kind of do those mannerisms to make it clear that they are mother and daughter, which I think is just is a good idea. It's just also show because like you kind of asked in the Hat Trick episode about like the wall of hearts being the same. You're like, but why are they the same? And I'm like, maybe she's emulating her for some reason. I
also really liked too. So we say like they have similar, but I like kind of what they have going different too, because like you talk about how subtle Cora's movements are. When you watch Evil Queen Regina, her movements are not as subtle in the slightest. It's almost like she tries to be more than like Cora movement wise, which I think is also really cool. Because
I think so too. Well, it's a little bit. I always think it's always a little bit of insecurity in that. Is she does big movements because she's less secure in her power, and it's interesting because the two of them were both taught by Rumpelstiltskin. That much we know. And for Cora is very secure in her power. She's very secure in the magic that she wields, but also just the power that she has, that she can have these very subtle movements, which is ironic, given like the first line we hear about her is Queen of Hearts. She's not one for subtlety. Which is the thing that I've said, is that not one for subtlety is a through line with the Mills women. We hear it referred to both of them. And that fact that it started so early in season 1 is such a good Easter egg.
Oh,
So I don't remember which episode it was specifically where he says that, or Gold says that about Regina at some point in the beginning of the first season. It's such a good through line. Someone says it.
Someone says it.
It gets said at some point. I want to say maybe like, 104, 105. I have no idea. But it's so interesting to watch the dynamic. And this was the commentary note that I read to you the other night, about like with Cora coming into Storybrooke to more or less continue to break Regina down, because she thinks like her prophecy of like, when I come to her, she'll be more broken. She'll need me. When she gets to Storybrooke eventually, she's going to see Regina's not as broken as she thought she was. Mm-hmm. So she's going to keep coming. But
some changes have occurred.
And they'll continue to, as we see in the next couple of episodes. But Regina says, like, when Cora comes back, Regina does kind of turn into, it was a choice that Lana made, that Regina would kind of revert back a little bit. Kind of like what I said with when Daniel was in town, that Regina, she pitched her voice higher for Regina a little bit. She reverted a little bit back to that 18, 19-year-old Regina because a memory of her past was there. And it was just really interesting to see, and that we'll see that more, is that she does that same thing with her voice, with some of her mannerisms. She kind of reverts a little bit back to that 18, 19-year-old version of herself. And this was the line that I just couldn't stop laughing, even though it's not funny, but it's just, I have problems, is when Cora comes back to Storybrooke, that's what it turns into. It's that, mommy, can you take care of me? Mommy, help me. Mommy, guide me, which I shouldn't be laughing at, but it is. My brain does what it does. It is what it is. This is where Adam said that Cora does ultimately love her and is trying to love her, but there's a parallel there between that love and what we see with Regina and Henry, because Regina's trying to break those cycles. Cora's a little more old traditions. Regina's a little more worldly into what a better relationship could be. Like, not only does Regina say to Henry in the beginning of the season, like, that she doesn't know how to love very well. She wasn't capable of it for a long time. She doesn't have very good examples of what that love can look like, because she says, when you love someone, you don't hold on to them too hard to make them love you, because she's learned that if you love someone, you let them go, and if they come back, they'll come back, and Henry will come back eventually.
Exactly.
Cora hadn't learned that. She held on too tight and got pushed through a mirror.
And haven't seen her since. Well, until
soon.
Until soon.
Which
I'm very excited to see. I really am.
It's
I'm ready to go watch, and I have to wait.
You do have to wait. The Cricket Game is a phenomenal episode and has, truthfully, one of my favorite scenes, because it's such a non sequitur, but it's so perfect. And we'll see. It's like I think it might be the first scene after like the title card. It's a very good scene. I'm gonna say for context. People are gonna listen to this in the next episode anyway. But it's making tacos is all I'm gonna say. No context.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll know soon.
You will know soon. You'll have context for tacos soon.
By like Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. So before we get into our stats, and then I have a question for you after the stats, but I have like a couple last little things about the special effects with the well. Because I mean, like Lana has said, like playing opposite nothing is weird. Like, she's walking up to a well with like a strobe light coming out of the bottom and just like doing motions with her hands. And she did work really hard on those motions. She takes a lot of inspiration from William Blake paintings. He's like 18th century painter. She takes a lot of like from like those movements that he captures, and she's kind of like, she just imagined, walking up and like using her hands and her body, almost she didn't say it this way, but almost kind of like the lightning redirection from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah,
it's like this is her showing her faith in Henry in this moment of taking in this magic that should kill people. Like, no one can get through this. Let me just absorb the magic into my body.
That
real
was wild.
Fast. But like leading up to it, it's the self-justification that like she can have it all. She can kill Cora, or at the very least kill, stall Cora and kill Snow and Emma, and then she'll have Henry to herself. But it really is her showing her faith in Henry, that she's willing to take on this unsurvivable magic and just lets it go. And then the rest of they kept commenting on Ginny with the cardigan the whole time. Like, Ginny right here is like, I have to do this. I have to fight. I have to win. I have to get this cardigan off.
She really was stuck in that for so long.
She was stuck in that outfit for so long. But to be fair, that's a great, very quick way of showing this is Enchanted Forest present day, is Snow with the short hair and the cardigan. It's very easy to do that. But Lana said Barbara was the same way. She's like, I gotta get Storybrooke. I gotta get to my daughter. I gotta get out of this stupid ball gown.
It's always the ball gown.
It's that ball gown. But like, this thing is like, I think Barbara has said this in other interviews, that like villains don't lift their skirts. Like, that's they're better than that. So she's just walking with this ball gown with this train, just wicking up all of Canada.
Oh.
And the sand and the mud and everything else.
As someone who has worn dresses like that, not fun.
No, so she's very excited. She's gonna get some nice, sensible pantsuits soon.
Ooh.
They're gonna look great on her, but they don't change Hook's outfit. I guess they had a conversation about whether he should have more modern clothing, and I believe the consensus was, why would we do that?
I like this. This sounds nice. I'm okay with this.
He gets modern clothing in season 4.
4?
Yeah, he's wearing the giant duster and the leather for 2 seasons. It's got to be a heavy, like, they give them heavy costumes on this show. It's got to be a heavy leather duster.
Okay then. I mean, I'm not complaining.
No, not at all.
No complaints, but man, I feel sorry for him.
Right? But with that fight scene, though, again with the riffing, there's like, Lana was impressed how Killian can fight with one hand. Colin's very attached to his hook. They went, he's such a committed actor, he cut off his own hand, and then someone said he sleeps with the hook. Like, this is the point where like you realize like they have nothing to talk about, so they're just gonna keep talking.
Oh, we do that.
As do we. And I'm sure this episode's gonna be close to an hour by the time we're done, because we just keep talking about things. I think the last commentary note I want to talk about before we get into stats and last things, or I guess two things. One funny. I'll do the one funny thing, then the serious thing, and then we'll get into stats. So the pirate ship, the pirate ship got stuck in customs for 4 days. Because they're filming on like some channel off the coast of Vancouver.
Oh my god!
Because that pirate ship is in Seattle. I don't know the name of the actual ship that it is, but it got stuck in customs for 4 days before they could get it into Canada. They almost didn't think they'd get the shot. I think they had to involve the Minister of Transportation at some point. This pirate ship, but luckily once it was there, it was fine. But it was the fact that they had to get it in from Seattle, so there was that. But the last thing that like I really latched onto in the commentary was Henry hugging Regina. Mm-hmm. Was this like the saddest moment, really, because this is the first time Henry's hugged her in the entire series.
Aww.
Like she's hugged him. She's reached out to him. This is the first time he's hugged her, because at this point they decided she's earned the hug, which is understandable. Mm-hmm. But then immediately just as soon as she lifts her head and he starts to pull away, that's when I start almost crying. I'm like, just love your mother, please. Just hug her, please. But that's
so. Oh my god!
I'm trying to think of the next time I'm trying to think of the next time we see them hug. Next time he hugs her might be the finale of the season.
Dear God.
God. So, what'd you rate this episode?
Okay, so I gave plot a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Personal is also a 9.
Okay.
But character is 10.
Okay.
So it is a 28, which is still really, really good.
Okay.
I do. There's a lot of things I like about it, but I want to. Should all stab Rumple.
We should all just stab Caesar. It's fine.
It's fine. So that's why it is a 28. Rumple's still skin.
Okay. This, like I said before, this almost lost points because of them trying to quite literally shove a plot point in between two of these scenes, which shouldn't work. But I'll take off points for it when that happens in season 5. This gets a 30 for me.
Oh, I'm not surprised at all.
Not at all. This is one, and honestly, up until this point, I assumed episodes 202, 205, and possibly 208. So we are both the Doctor and into the Deep. I assumed those were gonna get 30s and then didn't.
Oh,
because there were things that I just couldn't let go. This one, it's got a lot of Cora in it.
I would say it's a lot of Cora, and you get Regina.
It's a lot of Cora. We have the Evil Queen, which apparently the hair is something that Lana does work on with the hair designer as well. This episode specifically, like the poof thing at the front, was very Gwen. The poof was very Gwen Stefani inspired.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. So apparently she'll like look up like things like she'll just like look up fantasy hairdos, gothic witch hairdo things, and she'll work with the hair designer, and they'll collaborate with Eduardo Castro to figure out what makes sense for which costumes to go where. And so she does have a little bit of say in that. So this was partially her design. So take it up with Lana.
Fun. I mean, I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
We just have different taste.
Exactly. It looks good on her. It wouldn't be your first choice.
No.
Not at all. So since this is this is the season 2 mid-season finale, we're kind of at the end of this arc of get back to Storybrooke. How you feeling at this point of the season? What are some of your thoughts of this season as a whole so far?
Oh, that's a good question. Why you gotta do that to me? I want more. It makes me want more. It definitely isn't enough, obviously, because it just left off on like a big cliffhanger. Duh. But it's definitely, I like where we're going with it. It was a lot of fun jumping around, getting a taste of where she's actually from.
Yeah.
Things like that. I love the introduction of Cora. Cora is definitely like, I don't want to say she's a better villain, but a better villain than Regina. But Regina was not meant to stay fully a villain, I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So like, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
We should all stab Rumple.
We should all stab Rumple. Yeah, Regina as a villain, I go back and forth on this because she's an antagonist as it pertains to Snow and Charming, right? And she's like almost, I would say, like the big baddie of season 1, and then immediately starts to not really be the big baddie as the show goes on. Like Rumple is kind of our big baddie as the entire show goes on. He's always doing something nefarious in the background. Regina is kind of our first introduction of like kind of like a one season big baddie kind of thing, because now her main objective was to keep the curse going and to keep her son, and now her objective is to be better for him. And with Regina's redemption and everything going on, and we'll see her redemption kind of waver when Cora gets back, because she desperately kind of just wants Cora's approval. So we'll see a little bit of that as the season goes on. And something I'll say about Regina is, I say this a lot, is that she's very reactionary in the way that she portrays herself. Like her redemption arc, because this is very much an episode of she did the right thing for what? She didn't get her son. They didn't even invite her to dinner, and fans were very upset they didn't invite her to dinner, and I was among those fans that was upset they didn't invite her to dinner. So, well, to be fair, she gets invited in the next episode, but we'll see how that goes. But whenever she backtracks, it's always in response to something. She never, like in the way that Rumple backtracks because he thinks that this is what he deserves. This is what's going to get him what he wants. He's aware he makes the wrong choice and does it anyway. Regina backtracks basically when she's pushed back against, like when the universe pushes against her, when she tries to do the right thing and the universe says, "Ha, I bet." That's when she backtracks even further and then she'll find her way back again. It's she missteps, or she kind of goes back because she's not getting the reward she's told she would get. And I know, like, that's the thing of like, are good deeds good if you're doing them to get things out of them? Yes and no. But it's always like, she's going to backtrack a little bit now because she did the right thing. She almost killed herself in the process, and she still doesn't have her son, and they're all still fighting against her.
Yeah.
What's the point in being good if they're not even gonna see that? So we'll see how Regina's redemption, I think they call it Regina's redemption tour.
Okay.
I think that's what they call it. We'll see how that works when Cora's in town.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 4, Episode 11, Easy Commercial, Easy Go-Mercial, and Episode 12, The Fraud Files. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our new book club, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.